calling it fierce revenge for the strike that killed their top general, their supreme leader in the military control room. No American casualties reported, and Trump tweeting all is well. Now Iran's foreign minister saying they aren't seeking, quote, escalation or war. President Trump preparing to address the nation. Our team is live across Iran, Iraq, and Washington with the latest.
And just hours after those missile strikes, a passenger jet in Iran with 176 people on board going down in flames moments after takeoff. The investigation right now, what brought down the Boeing jet?
Wicked weather. Back here at home, snow and ice causing accidents across the East Coast. And now the major new storm about to blast the country.
Charged with murder. The estranged husband of that missing mother of 5 now behind bars. How investigators think he carried out his attack.
Race against time. Crews on the front lines trying to contain more than 100 fires tearing through Australia before temperatures rise again. Ginger is right there as teen heroes save these koalas.
And who is Jeopardy's greatest of all time? Ken Jennings barely ahead after day 1 of the epic primetime showdown. How Jeopardy James is planning to fight back tonight.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. Thank you for joining us this morning. We want to get right to that major breaking news out of the Middle East.
Breaking all through the night, Iran retaliated for the U.S. strike against their top commander, launching more than a dozen missiles at U.S. military bases in Iraq. No U.S. casualties have been reported. And overnight, President Trump tweeted all is well. But Iran's supreme leader is calling this a slap in the face of the U.S. The big question right now, will this spark new retaliation or start to calm the crisis down?
And as all this was unfolding overnight, a Ukrainian passenger plane taking off from Tehran's airport went down in flames. That's a look at the wreckage. All 176 people on board were killed. We do not know yet the cause of that crash. Our team is covering every angle of this crisis from Washington to Iran and Iraq. And we begin with our senior foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell in Erbil. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, George. It's been a long, tense night here in Iraq. We heard a couple of the shells come in and explode here in Erbil in northern Iraq. Thankfully, as you say, nobody was hurt in any of these multiple Iranian missile strikes. There's a real sense of foreboding about what comes next.
Overnight, Iran taking revenge, launching a barrage of missiles, targeting 2 U.S. military bases and coalition troops in Iraq. Retaliation for the U.S. drone strike that killed Iran's top commander, Qasem Soleimani. Iranian state TV releasing this video, reportedly showing missiles targeting one of the bases. And this morning, no reports of U.S., coalition or Iraqi casualties. Sources tell ABC News U.S. troops were in bunkers at the time of the attack, a sign perhaps that there was enough of a warning to alert them of possible danger. The first strike was at the Al-Assad airbase in western Iraq at about 5:45 Eastern Time. At almost the same time, a second attack at Erbil International Airport here in northern Iraq. And this morning, 30 miles from Erbil, the capital of Kurdish Iraq, local security forces removing shrapnel from what they say was an intercepted missile that landed there. Iranian state media saying its supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was in the military control room coordinating the attacks on the U.S. bases. Iraqi military saying in a statement that more than a dozen missiles in all were launched.
Well, I have to tell you, interestingly, we've just heard from the Iraqi Prime Minister's office that they did indeed receive notification from the Iranians. This was a verbal message around midnight local time that there would be a strike. It didn't say where, it didn't say when, but that was a full 5 hours and 45 minutes before those missiles came in. And there'll be real questions about whether they now notified the Americans. George?
Yeah, lots of warning there. Okay, Ian, thanks very much.
And George, hours after those firing of the missiles, Iran's foreign minister declared it had concluded its attacks and is not seeking, quote, escalation or war. Our senior global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz, spoke with him just hours before the strike, and she's still there on the ground in Tehran with more. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Robin. This morning, Iranian officials are proclaiming the military strikes a success. And while they say they do not want war, they say the military action was not enough. In a live TV address this morning, Iran's supreme leader calling for U.S. troops to get out of the Mideast, saying their corrupt presence must end, calling Iran's attack a slap in the face to the U.S. The now familiar chants of death to America then followed. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard naming the overnight attack Operation Martyr Soleimani. Only hours after calls for revenge rose up at General Soleimani's massive burial procession, Iranian rockets were raining down on American forces in Iraq. A senior Iranian official tweeting a picture of the Iranian flag, appearing to mock President Trump's similar tweet after Soleimani was killed, showing the U.S. flag. But shortly after the Iranian attack, President Trump tweeting, "All is well," missiles launched from Iran at 2 military bases located in Iraq. Assessment of casualties and damages taking place now. So far, so good. The Iranian foreign minister tweeting his own message to the United States, saying Iran took and concluded proportionate measures in self-defense, adding, "We do not seek escalation or war, but will defend ourselves against any aggression." Good to see you. Good to see you. Just hours before, Foreign Minister Zarif told me that the U.S. would be hit at a time and place where it hurts the most, but ruled out attacks on American civilians. That makes me think, clearly, they will be U.S. military targets.
That's what our military people have said, but that's a decision that we will make at the appropriate time.
Zarif surely knowing then what was to come later in the evening, and giving a warning even then that any risk of further escalation is in the hands of the U.S. Are you concerned that a strong response from Iran will end in an all-out war?
Well, it depends on the United States. The United States took an act of war against Iran. It will have to be prepared for the consequences.
This morning, Iranian officials are saying that if the U.S. does not take further military action, they won't either. But again, they are strongly warning the U.S. to leave the region. Robin?
All right, Martha, thank you. Michael?
All right, thank you, Robin. Just hours after those missile attacks, a passenger plane crashed in Iran, killing all 176 people on board. The Ukrainian jet, a Boeing 737, going down shortly after takeoff, and an investigation is underway. ABC's James Longman has the very latest. Good morning, James.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. It really is a catastrophic scene in Tehran this morning. More than 170 people dying in a plane crash there overnight. You can see lumps of the burning wreckage scattered by the Boeing 737 passenger jet. It had just left Iran, bound for Ukraine, possibly catching fire shortly after takeoff. There were no Americans on board, but among the 176 victims are at least 82 Iranians and 63 Canadians. Investigators are scouring fields of smouldering debris near the airport where it came down. They've retrieved a black box, but as yet they haven't announced a cause. Initially, the Ukrainian embassy in Iran blamed a mechanical failure, but their government retracted that statement, although they do now say they're not considering any pilot error. Flight radar shows the plane never made it above 8,000 feet, and it was delayed for almost an hour before leaving. Now, Ukrainian international airlines say the plane last had a maintenance check on Monday, and they've suspended all flights to Tehran indefinitely. There's now actually a growing list of airlines now avoiding Iranian and Iraqi airspace as a result. Now, all this happened, as you say, about 3.5 hours after Iran launched its missiles on those US bases in Iraq. And as yet, no one has established a connection. The Iranians have denied involvement, but they're refusing to hand over the black box to Boeing, which is, of course, a US company. One major scenario not yet ruled out: could this plane have been shot out of the sky accidentally? This is already an extraordinarily tense time in the Middle East, and it's now been made all the more complex. George?
Okay, James, thanks very much. So much to sort to now with our military and aviation consultant, Steve Gander. And Steve, let's begin with the retaliation last night from the Iranians. A lot of signs after that retaliation that both sides may be looking for an off-ramp here, trying to calm down the crisis.
Yeah, I think so, George. You know, we started out the night having Iran and the U.S. be as close to an all-out war as since maybe 1988. And we ended up the night with both of the fighters retreating to their corner pretty much as fast as they could. We saw this early on when we looked at the targets that the Iranians actually shot the missiles at. They went out of their way not to cause U.S. casualties. They were trying to do something that they could put up to their own domestic audience, say, look, we stood up to the great Satan, but they knew they wouldn't want to do anything that would provoke President Trump into a conventional military response.
So that's the big question right now. How does President Trump respond to this? We saw that tweet from him overnight saying all is well. Of course, the United States had been considering a retaliation. The president had some pretty severe threats earlier. What now?
I think that everybody's going to want to just calm the situation down. You know, when Soleimani was killed, the president was quite clear saying, look, we're not ready here to start a war. This was a preventive act. And you listened to Prime Minister or Foreign Minister Zarif last night saying, look, we don't want a war either. So everybody is calming the rhetoric down. Everybody is going back to their corners. I think and I hope that what happens now is that we go back to a normal sort of tension within the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, but normal sort of tension, that still could mean pressure from Iranian proxies, Iranian militias against U.S. interests in the region.
It could, but remember that the president has called out Iran and said that anything that happens, there's no hiding behind proxies anymore. Anything that happens against U.S. Forces in the region, we will hold Iran accountable. And so their only tool against the United States, that asymmetric kind of proxy war that they've conducted against us for years, has been called out, which is why last night they had to say, we conducted this attack. They couldn't hide behind their proxies.
Up against all this, that deadly plane crash only hours after the rockets went off. Of course, the big question right now, is this some kind of strange coincidence, terrible mechanical error, or a tragic military mistake?
George, we have data. You and I have talked in the past about aircraft mishaps, and we have data. The data shows that this airplane completely disappeared at 7,900 feet. That is very suspicious. Only two things could cause that: a bomb or the aircraft being shot down. So the regime needs to be held to account. They need to let international investigators come in and look at this, because right now the quick denials from both the Iranians and their Russian friends point to a cover-up.
Steve Ganyard, thanks very much, Robin.
George, there are also concerns about cyber attacks, another way Iran could retaliate. The governor in Texas says they're already seeing problems. Our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has more from Washington. Good morning, Pierre.
Robin, good morning. Overnight, growing concerns about potential cyber attacks coming from Iran, with the governor of Texas stating that he has evidence that such attacks have begun. Governor Greg Abbott saying all Texans need to be concerned because state agencies are seeing an increase in attacks from Iran at roughly a rate of 10,000 per minute. Now, the governor did not specifically say who launched these attacks, only that he believed they were coming from Iran. This is Homeland Security officials this week have been warning key industry and government agency about potential Iranian cyber attacks. The industry cited in that new advisory are the financial sector, power companies, and telecommunications organizations. Homeland Security officials told companies they should have backups for all their critical information to make sure they were scanning for attacks, and warning employees about the Iranian threat. And Homeland Security officials continue to send out advisories about Iran's ability to conduct bombings and other attacks in the United States. Overnight, the NYPD put out a statement saying they've increased deployment and adjusted resources across the city out of an abundance of caution. George?
Okay, Pierre, thanks very much. Let's get the view from the White House and Capitol Hill right now with Cecilia Vega and Mary Bruce. And Cecilia, let me begin with you. A fair amount of tension overnight at the White House until the president tweeted out that all is well.
Yeah, George, the president was here at the White House when this attack happened. Shortly after the attack, we saw the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, the Defense Secretary, Mark Esper, show up here at the White House. They all met in the Situation Room. We're told the Vice President was in there as well. The President Trump and his national security team spent most of the night monitoring the situation closely. As we've been saying, though, over the last few days, though, George, the scene here surrounding all of this has been chaotic at times, uncertain, confusing. There's been mixed messaging. And it's worth noting that all of this right now is happening at a time when there is a very skeletal, permanent national security team in place. There's no permanent director of national intelligence. There's no permanent Homeland Security director or secretary. And privately, George, we're now hearing from both Democrats and Republicans who are questioning whether we've got the tools in place at a time like this to handle a national security situation of this magnitude.
And Mary, Democrats had also complained they weren't told about the strike ahead of time on Soleimani. The administration did fan out on Capitol Hill last night as these attacks began.
Yeah, George, Democratic leaders were briefed last night over the phone by the vice president. And today, the defense secretary and secretary of state will be here along with other top officials to brief all members of the House and Senate. Now, this was a previously scheduled briefing on the killing of Soleimani, but now it is obviously made all the more urgent after last night's strike. Democrats this morning are urging the president to avoid a military escalation with Iran, fearful, they say, that this could spiral out of control and lead to war.
And Cecilia, everyone waiting to hear from the president this morning. There has been some initial word that the president would come before cameras.
Yeah, and it's supposed to happen this morning. We don't have a time yet, George. So far, they've been very tight-lipped on exactly what he's going to say. A lot of speculation to see if he walks this rhetoric back off the ledge a little bit, given the so far lack of casualties there. Cecilia
Vega, Mary Bruce, thanks very much. Of course, we're going to carry the president's address to the nation live right here on ABC and stay on this story all morning long. Michael?
All right, George, we're going to turn now to that state of emergency in Puerto Rico. Multiple earthquakes and aftershocks rocking the island, killing a man and knocking out electricity for millions. Victor Oquendo is in the hard-hit city of Guanica, where they're feeling aftershocks right now, Victor.
That's right. Good morning, Michael. We felt tremors throughout the night and this morning. This is one of several homes in this neighborhood that was destroyed. Thankfully, no one was home at the time. The USGS warning, we can expect more seismic activity in the days to come.
This morning, a state of emergency in Puerto Rico, the island reeling after the latest quake. Aftershocks forcing television news anchors to evacuate the studio during a live broadcast. A 6.4 magnitude tremor leveling businesses and homes, damaging schools. This church completely destroyed. The powerful earthquake killing 73-year-old Nelson Martinez. His nephew finding him buried in the rubble. A wall had collapsed on his bed.
We tried to at least the part that it was here and here.
You tried to remove it?
Yeah.
But it was too heavy?
It's too heavy, but I removed it.
Emergency crews now dealing with the aftermath, like this massive rock slide on a highway completely blocking cars from passing through. This hospital evacuated, nurses tending to patients lying on beds outside. At one point, the entire island losing power. The San Juan airport running on backup generators. Authorities in Puerto Rico now saying most of the island will have power by the end of the week. Hundreds now in shelters, many in tents, afraid to go back inside.
More than 1 million customers are still without power this morning. The biggest power plant on the island sustained severe damage, so bad they might have to call it a total loss and build a new one. Guys?
My goodness. Okay, Victor, thanks very much. So much news out there this morning. Ginger, of course, is live in Australia as they fight those raging wildfires. And we're going to tell you about these teens who are racing to save koalas.
Also, major developments. The estranged husband of that missing Connecticut mother of 5 now facing charges for her murder. All that's ahead, but first, let's go to Rob.
Hey, good morning, guys. A little pulse of snow coming through the Northeast yesterday in D.C., but a little heavier amounts in West Virginia, 4 to 6 inches of it. And in Kanawha County, over 100 crashes because of it. Meanwhile, the barrage of storms continue to come into the Pacific Northwest, over a foot of rain in the Olympic Mountains. And because of that, roads collapsing and some mudslides around Gray Harbor. So we're looking at the low from the Northwest, driving into Southern California today with a little bit of rainfall during the day tomorrow, and then into the plains on Friday. This looks significant as far as severe weather goes from Houston to Little Rock. May see some tornadoes between Dallas and Shreveport late Friday. Then they line up for Nashville, Birmingham, and New Orleans on Saturday with a big mess stretching into the Northeast by the end of the week. Time now for your Cold Cities, brought to you by Subaru.
Life doesn't give you many second chances. But a Subaru can.
You guys okay? You all right?
Eyesight with pre-collision braking, standard on the Subaru Ascent. The 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Use caution today. We've got iciness around the area through your morning rush. Today, though, you're going to remember as being very windy. Gusts today potentially up to around 50 miles per hour during the late morning and through those afternoon hours. Today's high, 43, but feeling like we're into the 30s. The wind will settle tonight and tomorrow morning, one of our coldest starts. And then by the weekend, a little bit of mid-April type weather. We're close to 70 degrees with rain coming in late Saturday, early Sunday. Here's your 7-day forecast.
And we'll have more for you when we come back.
Okay, I have to say something. With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day, not just on airline purchases. Just think about the miles you can earn on things like gifts.
Should I continue?
No, I want to hear this. Or a rental tux with a handsome cummerbund. Double miles on all of it.